President Cyril Ramaphosa announced yesterday that Ukraine is ready to engage in peace talks with Russia to end the war. He made the remarks after meeting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the Union buildings in Pretoria. So far, peace efforts by the US and Europe have not succeeded, but Ramaphosa says South Africa is ready to help with negotiations. I am joined now by Professor Mbeyezeli Mkhize, who's an associate professor in international and diplomacy studies at UNISA. Prof, thank you so much for your time this evening. I want to backtrack a little bit to about 3 years ago when that invasion was intensified into Ukraine. Now, South Africa's stance when it came to that conflict was quite criticized internally and internationally for not being as vehemently pro-Ukraine and taking a more of a neutral stance and preserving the ANC's relationship with Russia. What do you make now, 3 years later, of this meeting between the two heads of state?
Good morning, Ms. Kekane and your viewers, and thank you for having me this evening. I think we are living in a very uncertain world, which requires very innovative and very what you call consultative processes. And you are quite correct. The environment back then was not where we are now, but I have always supported South Africa's non-alignment stance when remember, this war actually started in 2014 when Russia invaded Crimea. And what happened in 2022 was a full-scale invasion. So in other words, there was a growth in intensity and the level of engagement between the two countries. But of course, what we've seen recently is that, remember, it's not only Russia that has strong historical ties with South Africa, and I'm sure most people keep saying South Africa has to remain and not side with this one. But if you check, even Ukraine has had strong relationship with South Africa. Remember, the freedom fighters were trained in Ukraine. They were educated there. The only difference is that Ukraine has not been visible in Africa as a continent, whereas Russia's footprint has been there, and it has been able to maintain the historical relations. And if you remember it's been over 3 decades now since we had a visit of the head of state from Ukraine. So I think the difference is not that South Africa did not have strong relations with the Ukraine. It's just that with Russia, there were ongoing engagement. And remember also, by virtue of being in the BRICS, it means, of course, the BRICS, you always have summit every year. So obviously, there would always be a continuous engagement because these countries are in one economic bloc, whereas with Ukraine, it's not in that picture. But one commonality is that South Africa used to have strong relations with these countries during the apartheid era.
Now, the talks between the two presidents, I mean, as President Ramaphosa and Zelensky were discussing the idea of an unconditional ceasefire, Russia was sending airstrikes to Ukraine where there were civilians. So what does that do for this possibility of an unconditional ceasefire?
And I think it's making matters even worse because we were eagerly anticipating that at least with Zelensky coming here, Remember, another commonality that I think we should also be aware of is that, remember, South Africa and Ukraine, uh, with the Trump administration, things have not been, the relationship, the diplomatic relationship between South Africa and the US and between the US and Ukraine since Trump took over has been sour. So hence, that's what also unites South Africa and Ukraine, because the two countries, if you check, and are not necessarily in good terms with the US, but they are in the process of reassuring the US that no, what you get in the media sometimes, or it's some of the information that is not verified, it's complete misinformation. Let us set the record straight. But with Zelensky, his case is slightly different in a sense that, remember, the Biden administration, it used to be a strong supporter of Ukraine, providing weapons and everything. But when Trump took over in January this year, he paused and stopped the supply of weapons. And what we saw quite recently is now saying Zelensky is a dictator and the war is continuing because of him. And the other commonality, remember, South Africa is also trying to restore relations so that our markets and the economy can grow. Because taking Israel to the International Court of Justice also created strained relations between, remember, US is a key ally of Israel. So in other words, what South Africa did went against the national interest and the national security of the United States. And remember, they were even considering kicking us out of the AGOA. In fact, they were reviewing the eligibility criteria to say, do we still need South Africa in this arrangement? But I think, remember, South Africa and Ukraine, I think these countries need each other, especially in this time, because South Africa, you will know, we are having challenges of rhino poaching. And you saw in the border management, they've introduced drones to manage the people entering the country illegally. So with this relationship, remember, Ukraine is advanced in terms of drones technology. So with this advantage, I think both countries can benefit, especially South Africa, because with a country that is technologically advanced with drones, I think those drones can be very instrumental in terms of dealing with things like rhino poaching, which are on the increase. But coming to the possibility of peace, I think it continues to be quite a complex and unpredictable situation, given the airstrike that we saw happening. I think other commentators are already saying it was politically motivated. The aim was to disrupt the president Zelensky's visit. Others are saying it was just a pure coincidence. No matter how you look at it, remember, Russia has been constantly attacking. So it could be the continuation of the attacks, or of course, remember our president also had calls with Trump and and Putin. The idea was to say the only way to solve this conflict is through negotiations. But with these airstrikes now, they make the environment unfavorable for the ceasefire. So until these two countries find each other, because currently the situation is quite volatile.
Yeah.
You can't have a ceasefire. Why the other warring party keeps attacking
Yeah.
It's impossible.
And Professor Mkhize, as you're speaking about restoring relations between Ukraine, South Africa, and with the United States as well, you also make mention, of course, of that phone call between President Ramaphosa and the U.S. President and the Russian President. But I want to talk about that phone call with the U.S. President Trump, because that came as quite a surprise to many people, considering the hostility that's been coming also from the Oval Office since his return towards South Africa. He said many bad things are happening here. But then we saw this phone call happening between these two heads of state. Can we see that as a step in that restoring of the relationship, particularly between the United States and South Africa?
Actually, a lot has been happening. Remember, at one point he was accusing South Africa of targeting the white minority with this expropriation without compensation. And of course, it's been proven that that information was wrong. And then South Africa had to set the record straight. And if you recall, it's not the first time. Remember, there was a ship that came to South Africa, and the Americans were already saying South Africa is supplying Russia with weapons. Just imagine a small country supplying a superpower. Is it possible? So I think with regards to these developments that we've seen quite recently, they are quite interesting in a sense that you see Putin and Trump getting closer and closer, building ties. And when you see them building ties and creating conditions for Ukraine to say, for peace to be achieved, you need to abandon Crimea, give it to Russia, coming up with all these strange conditionalities, which of course Zelensky, rightfully or wrongfully, has rejected. I think it's quite an interesting development, because it's not long ago that the same Trump was saying, I'm not happy with what is happening in South Africa. So he's one politician that today is telling you this thing, the next day is telling you. So you can't really, and most of the time, he acts on information that is not verified, which I think, and if you don't follow diplomatic channels as well, it becomes a huge problem. I think for South Africa, remember South Africa, regardless of whether US and Russia are in good terms, regardless of whether Ukraine and Russia are in good terms, we all need these countries. We need them as a developing country. We need to export to these countries, and we need them to buy what we export to them. So in other words, for South Africa to be on the winning side, it needs to strengthen relations with the US. It needs to strengthen relations with the Russians and the Ukrainians. But what I see if you remember previously, the relationship with South Africa and the US, remember, it also created divisions within our parliament, our national parliament.
Yeah.
Because the opposition party, if you remember quite well, was in support of the US with regards to the Israel-Palestine issue. And the ANC was against the US stance, supporting the Israel. So I think it's high time that, like Cyril suggested, that he needs to meet in person with Trump. I think it's high time that he does what he did with Zelensky, so that he gets the opportunity to set the record straight.
Yeah.
To say this is where South Africa stands with regards to these issues.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. And thanks for that Lady R saga reminder, taking us down memory lane as well. That was Professor Mbekezeli Mkhize.